Welcome back, folks. In this particular video we're going to show you how to back up a FactoryTalk View SE project, and of course you'll want to back it up anytime you leave the lab and make sure that you have a copy of the project on your USB key, or if you're in a circumstance where you're going to do some design work on a different computer, you need to know how to back up that project as well. Now the backup project for SE is considerably different than backing up a project using Application Manager for FactoryTalk View ME. So the first thing that we need to do in order to back up our project is close it, and there's a couple of steps that I'm going to lead you through. So the first step in archiving our project is going to be to close down the project itself. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, and with the project closed, we're going to go into our program menu, go into the Rockwell software folder, and we need to open up the FactoryTalk administration console. So from a directory perspective, we have two options. So we have network and we have local. Local, of course, is if we were using a local project or had created a local project, but in our case we want to utilize, or we've created a distributed network project. So with network highlighted, we'll click OK. Now what the console is doing is digging into what projects have been loaded onto this particular PC. So you're going to notice I have 4 different projects here to choose from. So the one I want to physically back up, which of course would be in your case as well, is the SCAD_lab2 with our initials. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to scroll down to backup from the menu options that I have. And we have a couple of things to talk about here on this screen. So first of all, specify archive name. Of course, is the project name. That's going to stay the same. And archive location. So what I want you to do is select your Lab2 folder that should be sitting on the desktop of the PC. Use the ellipses to drill in there. I'll go ahead and dig in and find my Lab2 folder here as well. Okay, so with our Lab2 folder highlighted, of course we'll click on OK. And the next 2 checkboxes we need to have a bit of a discussion about. So you notice the first one says Backup System in Archive. In FactoryTalk View SE, you can set up different users, so different user access levels in the project. So an operator, for example, might be able to see some set points on a variable frequency drive, but a manager that logs in specifically won't be able to see those set points. They might just be interested in monitoring the speed of a conveyor or something of that nature. So if you set up user accounts and or groups in FactoryTalk View SE, which we're going to be doing later on in this semester, you'd have to make sure that this backup system in archive is included. If you don't, then those users will not be copied over or stored inside your project backup. Okay, but because ours is set up as default, we can go ahead and deselect this checkbox at this point. Now secondly, encrypt file content. So we're not going to put a password on our particular project at this point. Okay, so we'll deselect that particular checkbox too and say OK. And I've already created a backup, so you may be overriding a project file if it already exists. But one thing I will point out here, notice that the archive file now is going to be a .bak. So that's a backup project file for FactoryTalk View SE. So I'll go ahead and accept it, and of course it gives us the pop-up window that the file's been backed up. That's step 1 of the backup process. We'll go ahead and close the FactoryTalk administration console. Next thing we need to do is open up the computer icon and drill into C drive. Okay, so under C, I'm going to go into the users folder, go into public, public documents, RSView Enterprise, go into SE. Okay, and what you're going to find in here is an HMI projects folder. Now if you're on a IMC computer, you're going to notice the HMI projects folder has a shortcut already loaded on the desktop for you, but I want to show you the long way to it depending on the PC that you're working at. So we're going to go into HMI projects. Inside here, anytime we create an HMI server in a FactoryTalk View SE project, a folder is created in here. So in our case for Lab 2, the HMI server had the name SCAD_HMI. So we created a backup of the project previously through the administration console, but we also have to create a copy of this HMI projects folder. If we don't, then our project will not open up on another PC, or even on the same PC if we've deleted and gotten rid of a project altogether. So I'll go ahead and right click on the folder, do a copy, then I'm going to go over to my Lab 2 folder, Okay, my Lab 2 folder here, I've created a folder within it called Backup. I'll do a right click and paste. And I'm also going to drag in my .bak file into this particular folder as well to tidy things up. If you create that backup folder straight away, of course, you could save that information in one shot. So I'll paste that in. Again, so performing a backup in FTalk View SE requires a two-step process. First of all, creating that backup file with the administrative console, and then secondly, going into the HMI projects folder for SE and copying over a folder with the title of your HMI server. If for whatever reason you had multiple HMI servers in a project, you'd have to copy them all here too.